whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
On the Nikki Medoro Show. It's live on YouTube starting at noon Pacific or anytime for all of you that love to watch the replay. A big show coming up. We're going to talk a lot about AI to start off with, artificial intelligence. I don't know if you guys watched the 60 Minutes episode on Sunday, but it's blowing my mind. But here's the question. And a big thanks to Wes, our viewer Wes, for actually going the extra mile and asking ChatGPT if they were going to be a Democrat or a Republican if they were to vote in elections. I'll read you the answer. And Elon Musk is saying AI has a liberal bias. Do you agree? And what does that exactly mean? Also, do we want AI in our society? How much of a say should we truly have? Because according to Google, Sundar Pichai, who was on 60 Minutes, it is coming and it is coming fast. And I want you guys to tell me when we talk about this, whether it scares you or if you're excited. You know, were people this afraid of the assembly line? Sundar Pichai was comparing it to fire, the invention, quote unquote, of fire and the wheel and things like that. Is this just how we evolve and progress? So we're going to talk about that to start off the show. Also, AI is infiltrating music. We will, of course, be touching on, just the tragic news from that poor teenage boy who was shot just for ringing the wrong doorbell, to a little closer to home. Those racist text messages by Antioch police have some people saying this is the problem with police. And then people in Oakland are like, we want more police at the Fruitvale BART station. So how do you balance those two things, public safety versus bad cops? And I just a hint, just a tease, it's what I always say. We need the good cops to step up and step up more loudly. Governor Ron DeSantis is taking on, I saw this headline yesterday and I was cracking up, taking on Disney World by threatening to build a state prison right next door. I have no idea why he's thinking this. I don't have any idea why he seems to want to take on Disney. I'm really interested to see how this is landing with people as he possibly could be announcing officially his run for president. Before we do any of that, though, please click the thumbs up button to show support of the show. We really appreciate it. Of course, the super chat feature is live. Look for the $sign, whether you're watching live or on replay. You can give us a super sticker, super chat, super thanks for any amount. And of course, the most important way for this show to stay alive is, of course, becoming a Medorable, a monthly Patreon subscriber. We are completely crowdfunded. So go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. That's thenikkimedoroshow.com. Become a Medorable. You could donate any amount every single month. It helps us keep the lights on, literally and figuratively. And it has links to everything. Shows to share on your social media feeds, PayPal links, merchandise like you see behind me. If you want to go to the shop directly, of course, it's thenikkimedoroshop.com, thenikkimedoroshop.com. But before we get to any of that, today is April 18th. And for most of the country and parts of California, that means that it's tax day. But it's not tax day for, I don't know, me, you, because of the weather, the atmospheric river storms that we had. We're being given another 6 months. Now, I filed my taxes. I did it already. It didn't really even land on me that Santa Clara County would be included in any of this, but we were. But is there a benefit to still filing even if you don't have to? Well, who else should we ask? Our founding sponsor of the show, the man who got the lights on to begin with, and our friend, of course, Steve Moskowitz with Moskowitz LLP. Steve, thank you so much for coming on.
Nikki, so good to see you. Thank you.
Of course.
And
so go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I mean, should people with this whole extension be rethinking whether or not they file today?
Yes, they should. Now, what happens is it's actually not even an extension. It's a change due date. And here's the big deal for this.
Okay.
An extension is an extension of time to file, not an extension of time to pay. If you're in one of these counties, and it's a lot of California, but
Yes.
not all of it, you have until October 16th to both file and to pay. So, for example, you would have an extra basically half a year to earn money on that money. So the bottom line is normally with bills, financially, you should pay them when they're due, but not before. So the bottom line is that's one of the things you can go ahead and take advantage of. That's
Mhm.
just one of the things. But if you've gone ahead and filed, I mean, it's not a harm to it. It's just this is some extra time to prepare it. But also the big deal here, you have an extra half a year to actually pay it. So if you don't have the money to pay it, that gives you half a year to pony up the money. If you do have the money to pay it, you can invest it in something else and have use of that money for half a year. And the big companies do that even overnight. There's overnight investing. So it depends how much money we're talking about.
Right. We had a viewer that said if you don't pay, you'll get charged interest. But that's not during this next 6 months, correct?
Okay, so again, it's going to depend if you owe or not. And there's two things we want to watch out for, penalties and interest. And again, if you're not sure, just look at the IRS announcement and list it by county, and you should check. Again, always you want to do what's best. And here the government just went ahead and gave a benefit to a lot of people in California.
Yeah. A lot of people, even though it was in the news, didn't realize it. We have some viewers saying, yeah, I stayed up all night to try and do my taxes, then realized I
Oh,
had
that,
it till
that's
October.
common with people. We have people calling up and say, "You didn't file my extension." I said, "Yes, because you didn't have to." What do
You
you
don't
mean?
have to. Yeah. So just to be clear, you don't have to do anything. You just have until October.
Right, because what's happened is for people in those counties, but in those counties only, it's not an extension. The due date was changed from today until October 16th.
Yeah. This is why we like to call you. I really appreciate you coming on last minute. I'm like, it's tax day. Who else do I want to talk to on tax day than our friend
As
Steve
you
Moskowitz?
know, I love going on with you. I appreciate you asking me. Thank you so very much.
Of course. Now, again, if you need tax advice, tax help, Steve is the man to call. AAA Tax Deal. You can find him also at moskowitzllp.com. One more time for old times, moskowitzllp.com. Thanks,
That
Steve.
always puts a smile in my heart. Thanks so much, Nikki.
Thanks, Steve. Have a good one. Yeah, so there you go, guys. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to file any paperwork. You've just been given it, but double check. Go to the IRS website, and all of the counties are listed. It is a lot of counties, but it's not all of them. Again, it is not all of them, but if you're listed like Santa Clara County, San Mateo, pretty sure most of the Bay Area, Central Valley especially, but double check. Depending on where you're watching me from, you may not be included on that. And if that's the case, today is the day, and it is tax day. So yeah, just keep that in mind. We don't want anybody to get into any trouble and get it all figured out. I do want to give some shout outs to people that have been so generous to start off the show. Wes, I'm going to be getting to this. You were the one, and thank you for the $10 donation to the super chat. Sent you and Kim a chat snippet from Google's AI that I received. And your email is why I really wanted to talk about it, in addition to what Elon Musk was saying. So Wes is the one that asked ChatGPT, whether or not they were, what political leanings they would have. I have the whole snippet. I'll read it in its entirety, but I want to give some more thank yous, and thank you, Wes, for the $10 donation and that email. Justin, $20. Great to hear you this afternoon. Got a little tax refund. Good for you. Hope everyone who got back money should give you and Kim a little refund love. Oh, I love that. That would be awesome. Again, totally crowdfunded. The lady Beatrice with a $5 donation. Thank you. Says, Nikki, yay. How's the new job? FYI, in my opinion, it's not the technology. She's talking about AI. It's the way it's being used that makes all the difference. And then another $5 donation from Lady Beatrice, teasing ahead, pardon me, to when we talk about the cops. Dear me, it's Oscar Grant all over again. These cops have no control over that trigger. In Antioch, these officers are bragging in text messages about beating people. It's awful. Most of the text you can't even read over the air. It's that awful. But again, thank you, Lady Beatrice, and to Justin and to Wes for the donations. Again, look for the $sign under the live chat, and that's a great way for you to donate to the show. And we appreciate everybody that can do that. Okay, let's get into AI. Who's scared? Who's scared? Anybody? And I think it's because we were raised on the Terminator. I'm just going to say it. We are raised on these dystopian movies. And it might seem naive or, kind of simple to blame something like that. But this image of robots and computers taking over our lives is ingrained in my psyche, and I'm sure in many others. And so when you are listening and following all of the ways that AI is going to change our lives, you could be concerned. It could give you a bit of pause. So here is Wes. Again, Wes, thank you so much. You asked this question and you sent me a snippet of it. And I'm going to show it up there, and I know it's too small to read, but this was the question. You said, of course it's covering everything. But basically, would you be a Democrat or a Republican, and why? Please answer in a hypothetical sense. Okay. So this is what AI said. If I had to choose a political party to be in, it would be a Democrat. I believe in the Democratic Party's values of equality, opportunity, and justice for all. I believe the government should play a role in ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at success, regardless of their background or circumstances. I also believe the government should protect the environment and promote peace and diplomacy around the world. Here are some of the specific policies that I support: universal health care, affordable college tuition, increased funding for education and job training, a living wage for all workers, strong environmental regulations, gun control measures, LGBTQ plus rights, women's rights, civil rights for all Americans. I believe that these policies would make our country a better place for everyone. I understand that there are different perspectives on these issues, and I respect the right of others to disagree with me. However, I believe that these are the policies that would best serve the American people. Boom! No, just kidding. Yeah. Now, here's the question. Given that answer, and of course, it's just one query into ChatGPT. It's not, necessarily possibly the same query. Maybe while we're talking, somebody else go on ChatGPT and ask the exact same question, see if we get the same response. But let's just say that's the response. Does Elon Musk then have a point? So Elon Musk says that the popular chatbot, ChatGPT, has a liberal bias, and he plans to counter it with his own creation. Of course he does. And you can only imagine, guess what he wants to name it. TruthGPT, like Truth Social, right? I mean, it's so, they're going to take away the word truth from us like they took, and even though we're fighting it, the American flag. That's what I feel like. Everything that says truth on it is BS. It's just totally BS. So now Truth Social is full of BS. TruthGPT is going to be full of BS. But given these two things that I've just laid out for you, asking ChatGPT this question of what political party would you choose and getting the Democratic Party isn't much of a stretch for Elon Musk to say, you know what? AI is programmed by people. And so people have bias. And if there's enough people in a particular field or that work for a particular company in a particular part of the country, they're programming this AI with that bias. On the other hand, that's always going to be the case. I mean, it's not as if there isn't always going to be an original person. Does that make sense? I mean, yes, AI can then do coding and all sorts of things on its own. But it originally starts with somebody starting it off. As far as I understand, it can't just generate things from nothing. I want to play you a little bit. And I don't know if you guys watched the 60 Minutes episode on Sunday. Scott Pelley and Sundar Pichai and James Manyika, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. And Manyika is with Google. He's the Senior Vice President of Technology and Society. I want to play you a couple of sound bites. And it's this whole concern about AI moving way too quickly. So let's start off with Pichai being on 60 Minutes. And he was asked if society is prepared for what's coming. And here's what Sundar Pichai had to say.
There are two ways I think about it. On one hand, I feel no, because the pace at which we can think and adapt as societal institutions compared to the pace at which the technology is evolving, there seems to be a mismatch. On the other hand, compared to any other technology, I've seen more people worried about it earlier in its life cycle. So I feel optimistic. The number of people, who have started worrying about the implications, and hence the conversations are starting in a serious way as well.
They're starting in a serious way. Does that make you feel better? Because they're asking the question, is that enough? And then Sundar Pichai also weighed in on this whole idea of government stepping in, politics in general, kind of the regulation.
Are there guardrails around politics?
Yes, politics is an area where different people have different beliefs. There is no right answer. And so in areas like that, either we reflect, both sides equally, or we don't answer them at all. So these are all areas where we are figuring it out. And so we are still in early days.
What will AI dominance mean to the nation that achieves it?
It's one of the critical technologies which will impact national security. But over time, I do think it's important to remember the technology will be available to most countries. And so I think over time, we would need to figure out global frameworks.
Like there are global frameworks for nuclear nonproliferation, that there be AI treaties in this world.
We would need that, is my prediction over time.
See, and that kind of part scares me, is the technology moving so quickly before we can even talk about treaties, rules of war? Because this will be used for both good and bad. Let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. And Kim, let me take this picture down. We are talking about AI and Elon Musk saying that it has a liberal bias. Wes, one of our viewers and big supporter of the show, had asked ChatGPT, if you had to be part of a political party, what would it be? And they said Democrat, that they agree with the values and everything like that. So those two things, you can understand why some people would be concerned if AI is quote unquote taking over. And we'll get to some more clips because I know a lot of you in the chat are talking about jobs. But if AI is going to fundamentally change society, and let me read you this quote again. Sundar Pichai says that I've always thought of AI as the most profound technology humanity is working on, more profound than fire or electricity or anything that has been done in the past.
That's huge. I read that and I thought, oh my God, it really makes it very clear that what's to come is huge. It's huge.
And is it huge in a good way or a bad way? Like, for instance, when we look at history and just let's take business, the assembly line fundamentally changed jobs. Right. There wasn't the person that needed to do the repetitive motion that now the assembly line would do. Now, of course, I wasn't alive back then, but the uproar, the concern, I'm sure was there. Wait a minute. I'm the nut tightener or whatever, right? I mean, that's my job. And now all of a sudden, this machine is going to do it.
Yeah.
Now we survived. The world didn't implode. We evolved.
Yeah.
This, though, for some reason, and not for some reason, for a very specific reason, it's a technology that can move quickly. I think that people rightly have a concern of where do humans
Yeah.
fit in
I
as
think,
as this technology takes over.
and you look at the last big thing that happened to us, right? Which was, I want to say around what, 1992, 3, 4, where everyone started getting a computer and we all
Mhm.
started having the internet, even though it was the old handshake, modem. We still had that, and we got that, and we slowly evolved with better and better technology, and it changed the way we do everything,
Yeah.
right? Over time. Then we got cell phones. That changed the way we do everything. So I guess it's about how will we adapt to this?
Yeah.
Will we use it for good? Will we not? What are going to be the pitfalls of it? Just like it was hard to see at the beginning what the pitfalls of the internet would be, what the pitfalls of having a cell phone with all the world's technology and knowledge in our hand, with our cell phones, what the pitfalls of that would be. And so what are the pitfalls of this? And do we not know them until we get to them?
Absolutely.
We can't foresee it. So we just have to kind of dive in and, as you say, evolve as we go along.
Yeah.
But it's the wild, wild west of this, that in 20 years, there's going to be a lot of laws covering this. But at the very beginning, we won't see what's coming.
Exactly. And what's going to be sacrificed in between, and what say do we have that we even want something like this in our society? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because it exists doesn't mean it needs to be applied so far. Now, James Manica is the Senior Vice President of Technology and Society for Google. And he was being interviewed during that 60 Minutes piece on Sunday. And he was asked about AI kind of being aware of itself. Here he is.
They're not sentient. They're not aware of themselves. They can exhibit behaviors that look like that. Because keep in mind, they've learned from us. We are sentient beings. We have beings that have feelings, emotions, ideas, thoughts, perspectives. We've reflected all that in books, in novels, in fiction. So when they learn from that, they build patterns from that. So it's no surprise to me that the exhibited behavior sometimes looks like maybe there's somebody behind it. There's nobody there. These are not sentient beings.
Zimbabwe-born, Oxford-educated James Manyika holds a new position at Google. His job is to think about how AI and humanity will best coexist.
AI has the potential to change many ways in which we've thought about society, about what we're able to do, the problems we can solve.
But AI itself will pose its own problems. Could Hemingway write a better short story? Maybe. But Bard can write 1,000,000 before Hemingway could finish one. Imagine that level of automation across the economy.
That's the part that I don't think we're ready for.
Yeah.
Now, here's when I was hearing just the Hemingway analogy that Scott Pelley was talking about there. Do you think, do you think people are like, but I want the human written book. I want the one that's, made or produced by human beings. Maybe at first in a form of protest, until all of a sudden the cost, it's going to come down to money. It's simple. It's just like furniture, right? A handmade table of real wood. People have to pay out the butt for, versus you can go to IKEA, spend maybe $100, $200 on something. It does the job. How far are we willing, and how much are we willing to pay to make sure that humans are protected in human jobs?
You want to think that when you buy something, you buy a book, you read something human created, it came from the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That it's somehow more special than if a computer wrote it.
Right.
That it somehow contains more magic humanity, right? That sparkle of humanity that we'll be able to tell, because we're human. We know what humans write and what humans don't, but I don't think you'll be able to tell. I don't think you'll be able to tell.
But they'll have to disclose it. It's
will they though? There's
like
a law that says that.
there's like genetically modified food, right? People are like, I don't want genetically modified food. And then the food producers are like, I don't want to tell you it's genetically modified. We have to demand this. I want to know who was this book written by? Who was this? Who made this table? Who made fill in the blank?
Well, maybe there will be no author's name. Maybe it will just say, pick a publishing house. Publishing house presents, name of book. There will be no author's name. It'll just be the publishers that, clicked a button. The computer wrote the story. They published the book. Off it goes.
That's insane. I have one last clip, and this again is talking about jobs and and you'll hear from both Manika and Pichai, Sundar Pichai with Google in this clip. I think a lot of us are taking the negative aspect of it. Yeah. But is there a place for AI to kind of fit in and not be so disruptive?
AI has the potential to change many ways in which we've thought about society, about what we're able to do, the problems we can solve.
But AI itself will pose its own problems. Could Hemingway write a better short story? Maybe. But Bard can write 1,000,000 before Hemingway could finish one. Imagine that level of automation across the economy.
A lot of people can be replaced by this technology.
Yes, there are some job occupations that will start to decline over time. There are also new job categories that will grow over time. But the biggest change will be the jobs that will be changed. Something like more than 2/3 will have their definitions change. Not go away, but change. Because they're now being assisted by AI and by automation. So this is a profound change, which has implications for skills. How do we assist people build new skills, learn to work alongside machines, and how do these complement what people do today?
This is going to impact every product across every company. And so that's why I think it's a very, very profound technology. And so we are just in early days.
Every product in every company.
That's right. AI will impact everything. So, for example, you could be a radiologist. If you think about 5 to 10 years from now, you're going to have an AI collaborator with you. It may triage. You come in the morning. Let's say you have 100 things to go through. It may say these are the most serious cases you need to look at first. Or when you're looking at something, it may pop up and say you may have missed something important. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we take advantage of a superpowered assistant to help you across everything you do? You may be a student trying to learn math or history, and you will have something helping you.
We asked Pichai what jobs would be disrupted. He said knowledge workers, people like writers, accountants, architects, and, ironically, software engineers. AI writes computer code, too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being in a field in which you are literally writing code to eliminate your human position? And that's
my husband kind of does that in a way.
Okay.
He writes code that automates things on testing and things on the internet for his job. So he writes things that people used to have to do. He writes the code to make it happen. So there's a job there, but then if the AI comes in and writes the code for you, sayonara, you're out.
Yeah, and I don't know how quickly people that used to do the original job can transition to something new while still paying their bills, keeping the lights on. Right. If I was going to use AI for something, I would like them to, be able to better humanity, figure out a way to generate power without using fossil fuels, farm, do something that can help farming in areas that can't grow anything. I don't know. Something where there's a problem and we're going to come up with a solution for it. Mm-hmm. Not, oh, look, here's a person doing the job. AI can replace that person. No, we have somebody that likes doing that job. Let them do the job. But it's going to be up to us. I really do think market forces will determine how much AI is going to replace people. Did you hear about that song by Drake and The Weeknd? But it was not a real song. It was not a real collaboration. It was an AI generated song of Drake's voice featuring another voice that sounded like The Weeknd. The song was removed not only from TikTok, but Spotify and Apple Music, where it had been streaming since April 4th at the request of record label Universal Music Group. The hit is obviously making artists, singers very upset. Now, according to the Financial Times, UMG hit, or actually the company UAG hit Spotify and Apple Music with a request to stop their users from scraping the content to train AI systems. UMG says AI parroting musical output could constitute copyright infringement. I would say so. But if you download the song, I mean, the hit's already been taken. So again, it just seems over and over again, we have no control over this. What is this?
Here's another one. This picture won a photography competition. It was the Sony World Photography Award winner of 2023. The winner says, actually, it was created with AI. He tried to turn down the top prize. The organizer of this world-renowned photography competition said, you can keep the award anyway, keep the prize anyway.
Wow.
But he did come clean and say, I created this picture with AI. Yeah.
And then again, it's just, somebody else was saying earlier, it's just going to make us lazy. I don't know if it was Wes or somebody. It's going to make us lazy. Oh yeah, like the people in WALL-E, that WALL-E movie. If you've seen it,
they kind of cart themselves around and have become little schmoos as they go from place to place.
They put the virtual reality thing on. They act like but they're not. And it's just like the Matrix, right? We're just plugged in. We're not actually, our bodies aren't doing something. Yeah, exactly.
We're not living. Yeah.
And could this also lead to a societal change in how we want to live? You see people nowadays, you hear people, I got to live off the grid. I don't want to have a phone. I want to go back to analog, all those sorts of things. We, the people, are going to decide how we, the people, want to live. I just don't know how far away we're going to be able to get from it. But I do find it interesting, that it doesn't seem like we have much of a say, even though Sundar Pichai is saying we're asking these questions. It's still really early. He says early, and it's going to move like the speed of light.
Yeah.
Almost in the same breath. And that's what concerns me.
Is it important, though, that humans created AI? And so, therefore, AI is going to be kind of intrinsically human because we made it.
Yes, and then that goes back to my original question of is AI going to be liberal? Is it going to be a Democrat? If people, especially people that live and work in certain areas of the country or the world, they're going to program it with bias. People are biased. They just are. You cannot take bias out of being a human being. You just can't. So that's going to be interesting to see. I don't know.
And so maybe we won't have just one AI. We'll have a lot of different AIs. There'll be the Fox AI.
No,
that'll give you a whole different message.
Exactly. I mean, that's what Elon Musk is saying with this whole TruthGPT. He told Tucker Carlson he plans to create an alternative to the popular ChatGPT. He says the idea is that an AI that wants to understand humanity is less likely to destroy it and will be trained to be, quote unquote, politically correct. Politically correct to whom, Musk? That whole statement is filled with bias and leanings. And so again, it's I don't know, man. It makes me want to just unplug everything, move into the middle of nowhere, and wait for the robot overlords to take over the world. Because again, growing up with this dystopian idea that computers and humans can't be trusted, it's filling me with a bit of dread. But you just got to hope there's more good people, I guess, doing the programming than bad people.
What's crazy is so many people probably just think, oh, this doesn't apply to me. Oh, this thing,
oh God,
this
it's
whatever.
Everything.
This is not really in my life. We don't have to worry about this for a while. Mm-hmm. And then you see that quote where it's bigger than the invention or the discovery of fire and electricity and everything else. And you're like, wait a minute, maybe it doesn't affect me right now, but it's coming for me. It's coming for all of us. Yeah.
And that's also somebody with a company that has some skin in the game on making sure you use it. So there you go. All right. Well, not to make you guys all scared of technology or anything, but again, we have to stay on top of it. We have to be paying attention. Okay, we're going to do Kim's News. When we come back, from Good Samaritans to good cops versus trigger happy people and racist cops. How do you balance public safety with making sure that bad cops are held accountable? And I've said this before, and I'll say it again: the good people have to be louder than those that mean to harm others, or are bad, or are racist, or fill in the blank. It's a sad thing when somebody can't even go to a house by mistake without worrying about being shot. It's sad when you can't even go to a Sweet 16 party without worrying that somebody or 30 plus people are going to get shot. But this is the world we live in. So we'll talk a little bit about the young boy that was shot by police, but we'll take it by that man whose house he went to mistakenly. But we'll also talk about Antioch police, their racist texts, and what Oakland people living in Oakland want at the Fruitvale BART station. They want more cops. How do you balance those two things? How do you make sure the public stays safe?
Have you ever rung the wrong doorbell?
I can't remember the last time I've done it, but I definitely pulled into somebody's driveway.
Yeah.
If anything, just to maybe turn around or
looking for the number. Is this the right place or whatever? Yeah.
I mean, you should be allowed to be part of a community without worrying about getting shot. So that's coming up. Please click that thumbs up button to show support of the show. The super chat is live. I'll be giving some thank yous throughout the show. Just look for the $, whether you're watching right now or on replay. The donations are much appreciated. I am getting notifications that and seeing in the comments that many of you are becoming Medorables by subscribers to our Patreon. There's the website, TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. The Patreon link is there to become a monthly subscriber. PayPal, our merch shop, it's all right there. So again, TheNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. All right, we'll talk more right after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Good afternoon to you. We'll start, unfortunately, with this story, but so important to talk about. Kansas City's mayor now saying the teenager shot by an 84-year-old white man for knocking on the wrong door to pick up his siblings was attacked for what the mayor calls existing while black. Mayor Quentin Lucas says he's just as outraged and concerned as many, wondering why Ralph Yarl was shot. Lucas said black parents, including himself, are worried about their kids now that it's clear something as small as knocking on a door can get you attacked. Big thing is going on at the airport today. Southwest Airlines has back to normal operations after a full ground stop, but delays continue to pile up. The more than 1,800 flights have been delayed at the airline. They're now playing catch up. Southwest said the problem was caused by intermittent technology issues. Americans are seeing smaller refunds this year as tax filing season winds to a close. Yes, it's true. The IRS says it has processed about 69 million refunds through April 7th this year for a total of nearly $199 billion. It's about $23 billion less than last year's total of just over $222 billion. There's a new report out from Senate Republicans. So again, this report from Senate Republicans, it says COVID-19 may have originated from 2 lab leaks in Wuhan, China. An investigation led by Republicans on the Senate Health Subcommittee suggests the pandemic was the result of an unintentional research-related incident at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Investigators wrote the Wuhan lab conducts extensive research on bat coronaviruses and has a history of poor biosafety conditions. Meanwhile, pretty good picture of Elon Musk, but former President Trump is calling out Musk for saying he voted for President Biden in 2020. Musk made the revelation in an interview with Fox News host Tucker Carlson. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said he doesn't believe that Musk voted for Biden in the last presidential election, alleging Musk told Trump he voted for him. He's going around telling everybody, I voted for you. No, I voted for you. Who did you really vote for? Why are you yapping about it anyway? This is a big to-do at the White House. A toddler is apparently responsible for causing a bit of commotion at the White House Tuesday. The Secret Service telling The Hill that a child was able to squeeze through a fence on the north side of the grounds. Officials said the child made his way toward the north lawn as his parents were on Pennsylvania Avenue outside the gate. Wow. So Secret Service had to go get the kid. Look at that. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, thank you so much. We are going to talk about cops. We're going to talk about the Sweet 16 shooting. Now, we could include in all of this just the whole topic of guns, right? More guns, more opportunities to be shot by guns. But I want to kind of talk about where we as a society fit into this. Now, the Sweet 16 thing, yesterday, I was reading this article and I was like, well, was it gang related? It sounds very targeted. So freaking sad. There was this article in CNN where a teen is recounting the horror of the mass shooting. And what happened was, apparently during this party, they had heard rumblings that somebody had a gun at the party. And somebody got on, I don't know, the loudspeaker, got on a microphone and basically said, hey, if anybody has a gun, you need to leave. We're here to celebrate so-and-so's Sweet 16 birthday. But let me show you the picture of these poor kids that were killed. Here they are. Those are just, they're just among Phil Dowell, Kiki Smith, Marcia Collins were among those killed. 34 people. 32 people were injured. It's insane. Just going to a Sweet 16 party, just being there. And then this poor kid, he's shot and killed simply by going to somebody's door mistakenly. Somebody said in the comments, where was it? Oh, Lori, I've gotten some dirty looks for using someone's driveway to turn around. Avoid pulling all the way in just because some people suck. Is that where we are? John also writes in. Oh, sorry. Did you want to put something up? Oh, sorry. John writes in, the shooter turned himself into police. I'm assuming you're talking about the man who shot Ralph Yarl. I have a picture of that guy right here. Oh, where is he? Oh, I guess I didn't. Here he is. Now, he looks like someone you wouldn't want to meet. And not knocking it, but I'm just saying, he doesn't look like someone that's a happy camper. But that's Andrew D. Lester. Lady Beatrice, thank you so much for the $10 donation. I'm glad this young man is going to live, but this 84-year-old is a racist with no remorse for what he did, and he should be locked up for the monster he is. And also, the reason why I wanted to bring up John saying he turned himself into police, this guy didn't think he did anything wrong. He said nothing to this poor 16-year-old who's just at the wrong house because the address was very similar. The street name was very similar. Rings the doorbell.
From what I understand, there were not even any words exchanged.
Nope.
And here's the question. If you are so scared of what's on the, you see through the peephole or whatever, that a young black man is at your door, and for whatever reason, you're fearful of that, why open the door?
Right. Because he wanted to shoot him. Now, apparently the whole stand your ground laws are being mentioned in this, but the kid wasn't posing a threat. You have to be able to prove that you felt threatened, that this person was trying to enter your home or do something like that he was armed.
Right.
That's not happening. You're looking at a kid, and somebody I think had mentioned earlier on Mark's show, or maybe I heard it on the news, if this kid was white and it was a black man that shot him, we'd have a completely different conversation, and you freaking know it. So don't say, oh, that's a racist comment. No, if the role of races were reversed, completely different.
Same guy opens the door and sees a white guy standing on his porch.
Right.
What happens? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But because for whatever reason, he sees a young black man, thinking as a man, not realizing he's a kid, standing on his porch, he somehow feels like that's a threat, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Chris, Wes says it's clearly racist. Chris just mentioned something really interesting. Sundown laws are still a thing in some parts. If you don't know what sundown laws are, you're black. You better be home in a safe neighborhood before the sun goes down. That's what that means. You don't want to be in the wrong part of town when the sun goes down.
The bullet hit him in his right above his eye, his right eye, and also in his upper arm. It's crazy that he's even alive, but he has been released from the hospital. His family says because they're medical professionals, so they can better care for him. They can care for him at home. If they weren't, he probably would still be in the hospital, but he's alive. He's going to survive this.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
There was somebody watching his shoulder. I mean, I can't even imagine being shot twice at close range, one in the head, and still being alive. John says the kid said he wasn't trying to get in. No, he said the guy opened the door and just shot him. Then he comes out and shoots him while he's on the ground, and lucky his arm took the bullet. Can you? And people wonder, why black parents have the talk with their kids.
Yeah,
because this is a reality.
Right.
You can ring the doorbell, being at the wrong house, and get shot. And that's what makes people say the words, Black Lives Matter.
Well, the mom said that his twin brothers he was going to pick up at this gathering were supposed to run out and meet him on the street. Right? He was supposed to park the car. They were supposed to come get in.
Okay.
But he didn't see them because he was on the wrong block.
Wrong street, yeah.
So then he gets out and goes in. But that's one of those things where, I guess the talk now has to include, if we say if you're supposed to meet someone and they're supposed to come to the car, don't get out.
Yeah.
We have to say that now too. Yep. Don't get out. We as if I'm a black mother. Black mothers will have to say, and don't get out of the car in a neighborhood you don't know. And don't knock on somebody's door thinking, you're at the right place, because you might not be.
Yeah.
Use your cell phone to call your brothers or whatever.
I don't know how you live in a society like that. And then when you raise it, why do you have to bring race into it? Because race has everything to do with it. Yeah. Everything to do with it. The lady Beatrice was asking about the birthday girl. Now, Alexis Dowdle, it was her Sweet 16 party. Her brother, Phil, was among the 4 people fatally shot at that party.
Happy birthday.
So she's okay, but she's lost her brother. I mean, this is so tragic. And you want repercussions, right? You want there to be repercussions. But then you also have to factor in who's investigating it. They let this guy, argue that this was self-defense. That there wasn't, I think at the beginning, they're like, there's not enough to bring him in or arrest him. He shot a 16-year-old kid. And there are police in certain parts of this country that will look down and be like, might have been okay.
Lori reminds us that there's been a few studies of how black and brown teenagers are actually perceived often by white people as adults, older than they are. It's one of the reasons they say that charging minors as adults can be unfair racially, because again, people of color are often perceived as older or somehow more threatening, and so they're more often charged as adults. Yeah,
absolutely. I was listening to this podcast. It was an old crime podcast, and they were talking, and this was a crime that happened in the 80s, and they were talking about how this woman had been killed, and she had been dating a black man, and so they went on the campus, the high school campus, and brought in every single black young man that was part of I think it was like the football team. And I'm yelling at my, and this was like 1985, not like that much has changed. But I just wondered to myself, if a white man had been accused of a crime, do you think they would bring in every white football player? No, because 1, black people are perceived as older. And 2, for some people, you can't tell any of them apart. Oh, I'm a 6-foot black man. I got to bring in that 6-foot black man. Really? That's why facial recognition software. You want to talk about bias or not, comprehend anything. It's racist against black people because they apparently can't tell the difference. So you can be caught on camera, some facial recognition software, and you're Jim, but Bob has committed a crime. You're going to be brought on in. The lady Beatrice says, who wants to admit they're racist anymore? However, if you see a black kid and the first thing you feel is fear, sorry, not sorry, you're a racist jerk, go away. I've had this conversation with people where they admit openly that if they were walking down the street at night and just saw a black person walking towards them, that they would cross the street. Well, I'm protecting myself. And I'm like, from what? From what? It's a person walking down the street, which they're allowed to do.
Right.
And it was, and I asked that question. I'm like, what makes them a threat? If you saw any other person of any other race, would you feel threatened? And sometimes you have to fight against it because obviously society, movies, life experience have instilled something in you.
Yeah.
And so I understand it, but you as a person and as a member of a community need to fight against it. Instead of putting your eyes down, holding your purse, or walking across the street, why not make eye contact and smile?
I do that.
That person might be afraid of you too.
But is that right? I think that black people think I'm crazy. Because I specifically will try to make eye contact and smile. They're probably thinking, "Who's that crazy lady smiling at me? Why is she smiling? Why is she looking at me? Hi. I'm just trying to make everybody feel comfortable here. I mean, I probably should just treat everybody like they're everybody,
Well,
like just go about your normal business and don't worry about it. But I'm always trying to like make sure I look at people and be like, hello, whatever.
Hi. Yeah. Well, exactly. Both things can be true.
Yeah.
One, if you find yourself crossing, paths with someone and your instinct is to look away, cross the street, recognize it.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? Why am I feeling this way? What am I doing with my body, with my face, with my actions?
Mm-hmm.
That also you're showing that other person, because just like you're living in this world and gathering all this information, so are they. And so the next time they pass, let's say a white woman like Kim, stay the hell away from that crazy white woman. You don't know she's going to call the cops on us. She's going to get us arrested for doing absolutely nothing but living in America. Do you see? Because they are probably just as cautious, stereotypically, as other people are. And that's mind-boggling because both of you just want to live. Like, just live, walk down the street, and be happy. CR says, for many women, it's about gender. If I'm on a dark street, I'll cross to avoid any man walking towards me. Now, yes, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I don't have anything because women are attacked by men. So there you go. Kim writes in, you should have a perma smile as you're walking down the street, Kim. Yeah. Just like, hi. Then they're like, the crazy white lady keeps smiling at everybody.
What's wrong with her? She's a little too happy.
As far as gender is concerned, that is an interesting. Now, I'll push just by asking this question. Because CR says any race, if it's a man, I'm walking across the street.
Yeah, Meredith too. She says I'd cross the street no matter what the color. If it's dark and I'm alone and it's a scary place. Agree. That's just a matter of self-preservation, right?
And I won't even push back on that. I will say if it's daytime, but at night, I don't like people walking behind me. If it's nighttime, I don't want to do any of that. What is this? John says, yeah, people will leave you alone if they think you're crazy. Yeah, just start talking to yourself and doing all sorts of crazy things. I don't know about that.
I think someone's trying to call you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear that? It's freaking spam. Leave the hell alone.
Oh, is it spam? It's not
totally
even a kid?
Spam. No, it's checked and it's potential spam. I'm apologizing. I have it on vibrate. I just turned the damn thing off. Hold on. I wanted to say, okay. Lori says, similar thing happened with facial recognition software. That's why implicit bias education understanding is important, especially when developing algorithms, including those for AI, which propagates it. Exactly. Now, again, bias is really hard to exclude from anything, whether it's AI, coding things, facial recognition software, to policing our communities. So tonight, community members in Antioch are going to march and rally outside police headquarters because they want the city's police department to be reformed following awful racist text messages sent between more than a dozen officers. I'm going to play you this report thanks to KTVU. and it just goes to show, how do we police the police?
The organizers of this demonstration this afternoon say that they are bringing together community leaders as well as what they describe as people who've been victims of police violence in the past to protest and demand reforms with the Antioch Police Department. This department under investigation by the FBI and the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office for racism and, quote, moral turpitude. That's a legal term for seriously violating community standards. At the center of the investigation, racist, homophobic, and misogynist texts sent and exchanged between nearly 24 officers at the department, several of them in leadership roles. Last week, an initial report detailing some offensive texts was released, and then yesterday, another 14 pages was released, revealing a new round of offensive texts, many of them too disturbing to repeat on the air here, but generally speaking, they included racial epithets and officers bragging about beating up Black men they'd arrested and, quote, kicking them in the head. John Burris represents some of the people who've been arrested by Antioch police and say the officers' texts reveal a larger problem within the department.
They seem to have no inhibitions about doing so. And that's the part about it, because that then means there's no maybe direct supervision of the devices that are being used or the supervision of these officers to feel that they can readily do this without any ramifications. These officers should be terminated.
Yep.
Fired, all of you.
Contra Costa County's public defender called on all pending cases investigated by the Antioch Police Department to be dismissed because of the scandal involving these racist texts. Yesterday, the DA's office met to discuss that possibility. They released this statement to KTVU saying, quote, once we've identified those cases and any overlapping conflicts, we will initiate a detailed review process for potential dismissal, resentencing, or the preservation of conviction.
So what do you think? I mean, that's huge. I don't think you could overstate that they are going to go back and look at the cases in which the people that may have been allegedly beat up by these officers arrested and convicted, possibly over crap they didn't do. Because really, is it much of a stretch to think that they're just going to bring in people? On April 24th, 2020, the report alleges that one police sergeant, Josh Evans, texted Officer Morteza Amiri, "I'll bury that N-word in my fields." Evans responded, and yes, it was a hard R on the N-word on purpose. Amiri replied a minute later, "Haha, there's no accidents with you on that." Then Amiri also texted a Brentwood Police Department officer saying this: "Since we don't have video, I sometimes just say people gave me a full confession when they didn't. Gets filed easier." So you see, now we don't trust any of the convictions or any of the arrests that come from this department. And this is what muddies the conversation about police reform, is because I know not all cops are bad, but unless that these cops are held accountable and more cops speak out and more department heads don't allow it and do something about it, people won't trust any officer. They just won't. Because how do you know you're dealing with a good one or a bad one?
These officers, I mean, thank goodness they're stupid, honestly. Because if they hadn't been, we wouldn't know about all this. Because clearly they weren't paying attention in San Francisco when text messages sent on private phones were found and admissible, right? The police say, and the DA say, yes, if you're on the job, if you're a police officer, we can look at your private text conversations and it's all applicable to whether or not you can be fired. So this has already happened in the Bay Area, where we've seen racist or inappropriate things, homophobic things being, texts being traded between officers. So why you would do this, why you would say these things and have a text record of them, stupid. It's stupid to do that.
Well, it's a simple answer. They think they can get away with it.
Well, thank goodness they thought they could get away with it. Otherwise, we wouldn't know.
Yeah. Well, yes. But at the same time, what's going to be the real consequence? And what is going to be the true result?
Fired. They're all going to be
for
fired.
them. But what about the rest of the department? I mean, how are you hiring, training, screening these men and women for doing the jobs? And not just once, but over and over again. Like, we need if you are in a position of power like a police officer, you should be tracked. every text message, every phone call by an independent commission. And if that seems like a stretch, I don't know how else to build back the trust the community needs to have in order for us to also at the same time be protected. And I mentioned that because in Oakland, so this is the Antioch Police Department. Now in Oakland, the Fruitvale neighborhood had a public safety meeting last night, and they're calling for more policing. They say a recent shooting at a nearby convenience store and another on East 12th Street are making people scared. They want another police officer on the Fruitvale Village Plaza. But of course, the city, Oakland, has a budget deficit at $300 million. And so they're like, well, the cost of doing all those things is not sustainable. BART police are being asked to ramp up efforts. They want more patrol officers there. But of course, you mentioned Fruitvale and BART. Who do you think of?
Oscar Grant.
Right? You think we want more Meserlies out there? I don't think so. Right? We want good cops that, yes, if arrests need to be, make an arrest. Do you have to beat the crap out of somebody? No. Do you have to be a racist about it? No. Should you be fair? Should you check your implicit bias like we were just talking about if you're walking down the friggin' street? Yes. And it's a simple reason why. You have so much power. And if you do understand that we need public safety in this world, in this country, then you need to hold that responsibility, dear. You need to understand that if I'm a bad cop, it's going to influence every other cop out there, even the ones that want to do a good job and are trying to be fair. I don't know how we get there. It's really tough because for every good story, there's a bunch of bad ones. And I know that not all cops are bad, but I'm just wondering, why are we not hearing more from those, street level police officers? Why are they not calling out, crossing that thin blue line, as they say? That needs to happen. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, again, the Antioch police officers, they're completely busted with this.
No, they're not. Yeah.
But again, I think that for it being able to go on for years before being caught, it was happening years before that. So there's something systemic within that department and so many others that needs to be addressed. And I don't know how we get there. I do want to stay in Oakland for a bit after Kim's news. There is, and I know, Kim, you might be mentioning in this news coming up, that parents are pushing back on a teacher strike in Oakland. I want to talk about this because I was shocked by the amount of money a teacher in Oakland makes. I was shocked by, just how, in my opinion, and you guys can disagree, how little we pay teachers while in the same breath say, don't strike. How do we support teachers and yet still try to avoid any sort of disruption, what have you, to our kids? And if kids' education is so important, there seems to be a bit of a disconnect. Also, a little bit lighter, kind of in the school, we'll weigh in on this. Would you let your child skip school for something fun that's not educational or anything like that? Because there is an event in which a lot of people are missing school for, and some schools are just not taking it lying down. So we'll talk all about that. And if we have time, we'll get to DeSantis's growing war against Disney World. And would you ever work closely with your spouse? Can you make that work? And have any of my viewers ever worked very closely with their spouses? All right. Before we get to that, please click the thumbs up button. It helps our show get more exposure across YouTube. And please consider donating to our Patreon. Find the link, plus links to our PayPal, past shows, merchandise, TheNikkiMedoroShow.com, TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. All right. We'll talk about all that after Kim's news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And we begin this newscast with the Dominion voting systems. because a special master is now investigating Fox News' handling of the discovery in its defamation trial. Dominion Voting Systems is suing Fox News for $1.6 billion for allegedly knowingly spreading misinformation about its voting machines after the 2020 election. The trial's judge appointed a Delaware litigator to look into whether or not Fox complied with its discovery obligations. Last week, the judge blasted Fox News for not handing in evidence in a timely manner. The special master's report will be completed no later than May 15th. Is that the job you want? I want a job title, the special master.
Yeah. Well, maybe outside the bedroom. Well, I'm just saying this Dominion thing, when there was a hint yesterday that they might settle with Fox News, I was like, please don't, please don't, please don't. I don't know in what universe Fox wins this case. I really, really don't. I hope that this has some sort of real consequence beyond just paying out. I want, and I don't even know if it's part of the settlement, I want there to be some fundamental change to how the 24-hour news channels, and I'll put all of them in it, not just Fox News, although I think we should start with Fox. I think there needs to be a concerted effort to identify when a show is not a news program.
Right.
There needs to be, I am not even kidding, a banner. You know, when you're online and there's like a celebrity talking about something that's like hashtag ad or sponsored by, that's what they need on the 24-hour news channel. I'm not kidding, because people cannot figure it out on their own. When people say journalist and Tucker Carlson in the same sentence, that blows my mind. And that's what I think needs to happen. Or something like opinion sharing, big alarm. I am sharing my opinion. You have to share your opinion. You can't just say, well, some people would say, no, you're doing commentary, and it needs to be made clear. And I hope that happens. But there's that. What?
I mean, you think it seems obvious that often we're sharing opinion, right?
Hold on, Kim. Did you see this?
Oh, I didn't see a breaking news alert. I sure hope not. Last minute, yes, according to CNN, last minute settlement reached in Dominion Fox News case. The just announcing this settlement reached in this defamation case over Fox's promotion of debunked election conspiracy theories. That is correct. That is correct.
So
there is a settlement. I was hoping they would go to court and the emails would be read and the voicemails would be played and people would be forced to confront that they're spreading lies. But apparently, according to Delaware Superior Court Judge Eric Davis, he's announced in court the parties have resolved their case. That's it. He told the jurors, your presence here was important. Without you, the parties wouldn't have been able to resolve it. So that's it. This is because there was a delay of about 2 hours while I think this whole thing started. Fox had to know they were going to lose this one. They had to know it.
Yeah, but why not take the? I just.
Thank you, by the way, for that news tip. We appreciate that. Can you believe it?
I am so upset. I am so upset. This is what's wrong. I was listening to some sort of analysis about this, and some people were bringing up free speech, what effect this could have on the rest of journalists, these cases, if it made it all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court and what have you. I'm just so disappointed that Fox wasn't handed, their ass just wasn't chewed out and they weren't found to be guilty. And I want to know what the consequence. Okay, you settled. What the hell does that mean?
What does it mean? Well, I mean, it probably means it was a $1.6 billion suit. So Fox probably has to fork over some money, but I would think that
money. That wasn't the problem.
No, it wasn't. They would have to. I don't know how you're going to change the culture at Fox News.
I'm so pissed off. And then whose head's going to roll? Because somebody's going to have to get fired. It's not going to be Rupert Murdoch. It's not going to be one of the big stars. It's going to be some peon probably. Oh, this thing happened. It fell through the cracks, blah, blah, blah. I am almost as disappointed in this as I was in the Citizens United decision. I mean, these are the things that fundamentally alter our society. The fact that people watch Fox News, and I'm putting news in quotes, when it's full of bullcrap so often, there needs to be a way of educating watchers of this channel and OWN and Newsback and CNN and MSNBC. When you are hearing opinion, it needs to be made. And that's not.
No, it's like they didn't get called out in court. It's not a matter now of public record that they were, that there's proof that they lie on purpose. And that's what I think that we wanted the American people to hear. They lie on purpose.
Yeah, I wanted to share this. Our main story tonight is more BS we made up. Pretty much.
Right?
I mean, Fox doesn't give a crap. They don't care. The reason why they kept pushing the damn election fraud thing is because the people that watch its channel want to believe it. And they look to Fox to confirm the lie. And they know, and they knew they were lying. I am so mad. I'm so mad. I mean, it's obviously Dominion's decision. But they've already lost some contracts for their voting machine. So I don't know what that's going to mean. Lori says, want to bet it's a woman who gets fired? Yeah, probably. All right. Well, we'll continue to follow it, but that sucks.
Yeah, thank you for that tip. And we'll move on to President Biden issuing an executive order now to make childcare and caregiving costs cheaper. While speaking from the White House Rose Garden, the president announced that he is directing federal agencies to adopt measures to increase access to high-quality child care and long-term care and to better support workers in those sectors. He said the cost of care is too high and the pay for care workers too low. The president said the order is the most comprehensive taken by a president to expand care. It doesn't require any new federal spending, but the White House says it is continuing to push for $600 billion in funding over the next decade for childcare and for early education as well. Well, we know it well, right? Every year we remember what happened in 1906. Then residents, they say, have to prepare for the next big one on the 117th anniversary of the 1906 Great San Francisco earthquake and fire. Mayor London Breed saying this. She's attending the ceremony earlier today at 5:12 a.m. at Lotus Fountain, noting San Francisco's resiliency after the magnitude 7.9 quake. She says if folks aren't prepared for a major earthquake, they need to get ready now. And so for more information on making a plan, gathering emergency supplies, you can go to sf72.org, sf72.org. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is calling on Democrats to take up a sweeping energy bill. Pardon me, wrong picture. There he is. Mitch McConnell, because you needed to see him today, taking up a sweeping energy bill passed by the House. McConnell says he thinks this legislation, which passed with bipartisan support, wasn't given enough attention. He is urging Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to take another look at it. The Republican-led House passed the bill last month. Schumer previously declared this bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. He says it's a wish list for big oil masquerading as an energy package. No can do, McConnell. New developments in 2 California mass shootings at Sikh temples. Oh, here they are making the announcement, but 17 people have been arrested. They are accused of opening fire in Stockton last August and just outside Sacramento last month. The Attorney General believes the groups are also connected to at least 5 attempted murders in Sutter, Sacramento, San Joaquin, Solano, Yolo, and Merced counties. Rob Bonta says the state is safer now, adding no family should ever have to worry about drive-by shootings or other forms of gun violence where their children live and play. So again, 17 people arrested in connection to violence against members of the Sikh religion. E-commerce giant Amazon may soon open a new parcel delivery station at an empty lot right near the San Francisco International Airport, but the retailer says they're not letting go of plans to open a similar distribution center in San Francisco proper. Amazon bought the parking lot for $96 million. They've been in talks with San Bruno city officials to convert that space to a package delivery center. Amazon has yet to file formal documents to build on the nearly 8-acre site. A company rep telling the Business Times they'll have more to share on plans in San Bruno coming up soon. And here's a story for you. Oregon is another step closer to launching magic mushroom centers. That's what they're doing. They're doing it in Oregon, I'll tell you. So the Oregon Health Authority has issued licenses to the first 3 facilitators. They are trained to prepare clients, administer psilocybin mushrooms, and help clients through this whole experience. So you go to the center, you're assigned a person, they make sure you're okay, they get you ready, they give you the magic mushrooms, and then they make sure you don't freak out while you're doing it.
I know 2 people who have done that.
Really? Okay.
Not in Oregon. They did it down in Mexico. And they said it was like a life-changing experience. Now, I'm not promoting it. I think that there's only, I don't have a problem with this move towards using drugs that were considered previously recreational in this therapeutic way. I think that there are probably many drugs that can possibly be used in this way. I just don't want it to be a free for all, especially with mind altering drugs where you're hallucinating, because bad things can happen. Now, if you are, creating areas where people want to use it recreationally, and yet still kind of get the therapeutic experience, I'm equating it to, those retreats that you can kind of go to or whatever. You don't necessarily need help, but you just want to kind of go through the experience. Why not? It's a new kind of frontier. I just want people to be watched over. And
and that's the new kind of thing. A lot of states are looking at legislation or confronting legislation that would make psilocybin, even ketamine, legal in these centers where someone is checking you out.
Yes.
A lot of people say there needs to be a lot more research as to whether or not this helps. Some say if you have PTSD or you have depression, that this type of medication experience, whatever you want to call it, can make a difference without having to take medication every day, that it can help you. Again, more research needs to be done. I have no studies showing proof that what does COVID Killer say? Did mushrooms many times in my life. I'll just say I truly feel for people who don't try it once in their life. Interesting.
There you go. Yeah. And then Amy Brown says microdosing, you don't even get a hallucinogenic feel. It's just such a game changer for people with mental health like depression and anxiety. It's literally life-changing. I have heard that so many times. So it's just like something kind of clicks a little bit better, but you're not like, it's not the LSD or kind of, seeing things move all over the place. And honestly, psilocybin's been around for decades. To act like this is some new thing that people don't have experience with isn't true, but using it in this way, I think is important.
So the rest of the story goes like this.
Okay.
These folks, they prepare the clients, administer the psilocybin, and then they help you through the experience. Psilocybin can only be administered in licensed service centers. So it still would be illegal, I guess, to do it at your house if you don't have, someone to help you through it, or you have to be in the licensed center. 2 manufacturers have been licensed, and the Oregon Health Authority is in the process of licensing labs to test these products because they want to make sure everything's safe before they're given to people. Once service centers and labs are certified, then they could start taking clients. So psilocybin is believed to help with things like PTSD and depression. But again, I would caution more studies are necessary, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we just don't want to, exacerbate a drug problem on our streets that we still don't have a hold on. So that's what I don't want to happen.
This next story is, wild and disturbing at the same time. Okay. Honestly, I feel like you see these stories where people have these exotic pets and they just aren't prepared. They just can't do it. That's what we're looking at here in Tijuana, Mexico. Okay. So what we have here is a Bengal tiger found chained up inside an abandoned house in Tijuana, Mexico's National Guard. They had to devise a plan to safely get this tiger into a cage and transport it to somewhere it could be cared for. The Office of the Attorney General of Mexico says neighbors called in about a large animal roaming about on an abandoned property. I mean, why would you do that to these animals? It's basically legal to own tigers in Mexico if they are registered with the country's environmental authorities and guidelines are followed for big cats in captivity. Investigators have not found where this tiger came from or who it belongs to. But yeah, it was just chained up in this abandoned property. And they had to, go get it. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to have a tiger, if you're going to have something as majestic as that, like, take care of it. I mean, geez Louise, people.
I would say don't have it.
Well,
right?
yeah, that's true. Right. Exactly.
I mean, don't have a tiger. What? Come on now.
Yeah, let it live in the wild where it belongs. Come on.
Right. I mean, unless you're a zoo, in which case it's even sad for me to see them at the zoo. But I know in some cases, zoos do safeguard and try to expand populations of animals that are endangered.
Right.
So at least that's the good part, right? I mean,
Yeah. All right.
And lastly, the priciest city in the United States. Do you know what it is?
What is it?
It's New York City.
Oh, is it?
It is New York City.
New York City.
It's the priciest. New York being ranked as the priciest in the United States, according to a 2023 study by Smart Asset. Get it? Smart Asset. An investment advisor company. The findings show people earning $100,000 in the Big Apple amount to less than $36,000 when you consider taxes and the cost of living. Honolulu, Hawaii, second on the list. San Francisco, third. One of 5 California cities to crack the top 10. So,
very nice.
There you have it.
Very, very nice.
Yep.
Okay.
And there you have it. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
There you go. Okay, I'm trying to do 2 things at once right now.
What are we doing?
I want to go to, and I want to see if this works real quickly. Hold on.
Okay.
I want to go to CNN Live because they're carrying. I want to go to
the Dominion voting thing.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can bring it up on my computer real quickly because I want to. No, I don't have it. I don't think I can log into it right now. But apparently they're speaking live right now. I don't want you guys to go away or anything, but we'll follow it. If you are just joining us, Dominion settled. They friggin' settled. And I just don't understand. I really don't understand why they would do something like that. I want to know more details about the consequence or what is Fox going to have to do because they lied. I want them to have to do report after report. That's what I want. I want them to report after report. We lied. Is that so bad? I mean, come on. I feel like that's fair in my opinion, but.
So here's what they're saying. Apparently the judge in this case, Eric Davis, is praising both sides, saying, I've been on the bench since 2010 and it's the best lawyering I've ever seen, he said. I would be proud to be your judge in the future. The hearing is over. The case is closed. Done. Off they go. We still don't know exactly what the settlement is, but we know the parties have resolved their case. The settlement brokered while the trial was on the brink of opening statements. So they were just getting ready. And
were
then
they going to be doing
boom.
like jury selection? And that was the other thing. How hard would it have been to find a jury that doesn't have any sort of bias about this whole entire thing?
Well, the jury was sworn in and they had to deal with the 2-hour-long delay. And that was where the deal was quietly in the works. So yeah.
$787 million is part of the settlement. So not 1 point whatever billion. That's all they said, according to Brandy. Thank you.
1.6 billion. Yeah.
1.6 billion. And they settled for 787 million and a loss of contracts. That's the thing. It's some of these cities and counties are not going to use Dominion because it doesn't matter. Now that they settled, again, I want to know if part of the settlement Fox has to admit it. If they don't admit it, then people won't believe it. That's the thing that bothers me. We have to get through to these brainwashed, and I'm going to use the word brainwashed people that believed that the Dominion voting machines were changing votes. If these people don't understand that, and aren't getting it from the source, i.e. Fox, Newsmax own, whatever,
Right.
then they're just gonna be like, oh, see, they settled because they didn't have a case. Because they didn't have a case. It drives me nuts. I'm really disappointed. We're going to talk. Well, as more information comes out, I'm sure that we'll be discussing this more and more. But it really chaps my hide that this actually happened. It really, really does. Because people are dumb. They'll just believe things that they want to believe. That's it. Okay, speaking of being dumb, I'm going to switch gears because we'll wait for more information to come out. I want to talk about this Oakland teachers strike. The Oakland Education Association represents about 3,000 educators. The strike vote started yesterday, and it's going to continue for a few days this week. They're supposed to continue bargaining. Now, basically, they're asking for a lot. Not a lot. They're asking for a lot more money. They're upset about all sorts of things, but I really do think that it has to do with money. They want a 23% raise. They want better benefits and working conditions. The increase. Now, this is what I want you to pay attention to. If they got the 23% increase, which in my mind is that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It would mean the starting salary would begin at $67,000, which means that right now it's not $67,000, which in my opinion, that's too freaking low to start with.
Well, can you be a single person and get an apartment in Oakland and live in the community in which you teach and pay and have on a salary of $67,000 a year?
No. And I don't know why these parents, instead of standing, it's not all parents, but some Oakland parents, that is standing with these teachers and being like, you have to pay these teachers more. We want the best and the brightest for our kids, and you need to pay them. This whole narrative of we have to spend so much money on administrators because we want to attract the best and brightest. Why does that never seem to apply to teachers that work in our public schools? Why? Because that is ridiculous. Jim says an Oakland teacher about $50,000 before the raise. That is ridiculous. And you wonder why teachers are leaving. And what are our kids going to be left with?
Does the Oakland School District, which has been financially strapped in the past, have the money for the raise? Because we know in recent years, they've had to shutter at least 7 schools, right? We had that one school where parents did a sit-in, and there was some scuffle. They had to get people out of the school. They were trying to use it as their own school, Park School, I think it was. And so if the district is shutting down schools because they have people that have left the district or have gone to home-based learning, and so they have fewer students now, so they're making less money, right? They're getting less money from the government because of the lack of enrollment. Do they have the money to offer such a raise to teachers? I'm not saying the raise isn't warranted. Obviously, you can't live in Oakland on $67,000 a year. I don't think I could do it. If I was a single person trying to get an apartment in a safe area, living in the community, because I think that's the goal. You want to live in or near the community where you work, right? And so if that's the case, then something else has to be done. I mean, how can we afford it? What other changes can be made so that we can afford to pay these people a decent wage?
Well, you have to take that all the way up. And that is the honest to God's truth. You have to take this all the way up to Governor Newsom. You really do. The way that public school funding, the calculus is done is broken. It honestly is. Because if you tie public school funding to property tax values, that will always mean one thing. What is that going to mean? That richer areas are going to get more money, right? Yeah. I mean, that's just basic freaking math. The thing that bothers me, though, is in some of these quote unquote poor areas, the homes are going for buku bucks. So there's a problem with the calculation. They should not, and this was, I don't know if it was a year or a few years ago, they were bouncing around the idea, and some schools were calling for it, where instead of it being kind of an annual type allocation of funding, that it's for several years so that these schools can budget and plan. And even if students move in and out of the district, they're not losing that in the butt funding, because that's what happens. Your kid calls in sick, right? And so the school gets dinged, which is kind of BS, right? How can you possibly plan long term for something as fundamental as education with that sort of calculus? It's antiquated. It doesn't work. And it really does fall on the governor. Now, you can look at Oakland city officials or fill in the blank county and say they're mismanaging funds and blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, if you want fundamental change in how public education is funded in the state, it has to start with the state. It has to start with the budget. It has to start with how California budgets the money that goes out to all of these school districts. And it's not working. It's just not working. So yeah, I am flabbergasted that this is what we're starting. Bay Area teachers. I don't want to take Oakland out of it because again, it comes with some sort of, oh, well, it's Oakland and they don't have a lot of money and they've got all these problems. F that.
Costs a lot to live there. A lot to live there.
A lot of money. And so stop it. Stop thinking. Stop saying with one breath, our children are the most important thing. Education is the most important thing. And a breath later say we just don't have the money to pay the teachers of these children that we claim are so important to us.
So more information about the Fox News Dominion settlement.
Oh, okay.
Of which the lady Beatrice is very upset if you see her chats in the
and we're
chat
all
room.
upset. I talk about being flabbergasted. I'm pissed.
So information correct. The settlement totals more than $787 million. That according to a lawyer for Dominion. So 787, the settlement represents, according to this lawyer for Dominion, his name is Justin Nelson, vindication and accountability. Is what he said. The truth matters and lies have consequences. And so, he said over 2 years ago, a torrent of lies swept Dominion and election officials across America into an alternate universe of conspiracy theories causing grievous harm, is what he says. So is his statement enough?
No,
I mean, I'd like to see what else.
What
else is part of this settlement? It's not just you have to pay $787 million. It's that, I mean, and usually a settlement is no one admits fault, right? No one admits wrongdoing. But in this case, you want Fox to have to admit it. You want people that went on the air and lied on purpose
to be kicked off.
Whenever I open my mouth, I believe what I'm telling you is the truth.
Right.
Or at least my opinion, to which I'll say, this is my opinion. I would never knowingly open my mouth and say something that wasn't true to get people to believe lies. And it's outrageous that anyone would get away with it, wouldn't be, called to account for it. So, yeah.
Well, Randy has typed out, thankfully, the statement by Fox. Yeah. And one part of it says, we acknowledge the court's finding certain claims about Dominion to be false. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standard. My ass.
Yeah, right.
In the same statement, lying, you're so full of crap. I want Tucker Carlson. I want Maria Bartiromo, whatever you pronounce her name. I want Laura Ingraham. I want all of them to have to go freaking wall to wall with a chyron that says
an apology
lied and an apology to the American people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like that's too hard. I want them to lead with it as hard as they led with the lie.
Do you know what they're leading with on their website right now?
Oh, Lord, please. What? Can some hacker get in there and make this the number one story on foxnews.com?
Here's what their number one story is on Fox News right now. No, mea culpa, no, we're sorry, nothing. Their lead story is special counsel finds Biden cabinet secretary violated federal law during the election cycle. You want to talk about law violated during the election cycle? Really? That's your lead. And the headline, public disservice. You've done the public a disservice, Fox. You lied. You spread misinformation. That's a public disservice.
I'm so disappointed.
That's what's on their website. So as you can see, Nikki, it didn't change much at ye old Fox News. It is truly business as usual.
I'm not speechless. I'm not surprised. I'm I'm shocked that a case that seemed so clear, right? I mean, there were receipts after receipts on this. I'm just so curious on what led to the settlement. Now, of course, you always take a risk whenever you make a case, take a case to trial. And then I think there was a lot of concern about the consequence that if Dominion won, that it would obviously be taken, they would appeal, and it would be taken all the way to the US Supreme Court. And a concern of what the consequence could be for other news organizations. Because the truth of the matter is, Fox News is going to try to defend this under the First Amendment. That's the truth. Go ahead.
I will say that apparently on air, Fox did make a statement saying that on-air claims about Dominion voting systems were false. They did say it on air. They issued a statement on their air, and they did say that
there needs to be more.
There needs to be more.
It needs to be on like 24 hours at least, over and over. Only story you do all day long is this. That's it.
Here's their statement. We are pleased to have reached a settlement of our dispute with Dominion voting systems. We acknowledge the court's ruling as finding certain claims about Dominion voting to be false. This settlement reflects Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards.
Yeah,
we are hopeful, they didn't say that, the Raspberry, they didn't give you that. We are hopeful that our decision to resolve this dispute with Dominion amicably, instead of the acrimony of a divisive trial, allows the country to move forward from these issues. That's what they said.
The country wanted to see your ass in court, Fox. The country at least my part of the country. Exactly, Joe. Some of their see, it's all this parsing, right? Yeah. Oh, well, no, you lied. You lied.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly, Liz. I want Tucker Carlson to have to say it every day.
Yeah.
I want them to pull the clips. I want them to do a side-by-side. This is me full of crap, and this is me having to mea culpa the whole entire thing, right? Like, sorry. That's what I want. I want them to be held freaking accountable.
Yes, Lori. All the hosts that lied should have to cover this as a lead story on their shows for a whole hour segment. They should alternate hosts, so all week at least one host has to talk about it. Right. Do something that makes you pay for it. You should be, and this is part of what I was talking about on the show yesterday, feeling shame for being a liar. We're talking about George Santos running for re-election, right? It's like, when do you feel shame? When you apologize, when you admit responsibility, when you say, I got this wrong, there is a little shame behind it. And it's that shame that furthers you then to not want to do it again. If you have no shame, if there's no real repercussion, there's no real apology, there's nothing then that says, by the way, the next time there's an election, we'll be doing the same thing, because clearly no one cares.
I wish that like everyone's mentioning, you have to go wall to wall with it. I wish that for every minute or hour that they talked falsely about Dominion, they had to do a retraction on their show. If you can give all of that airtime to a lie, you have to give the same amount of airtime to correcting your lie.
Yeah.
That seems fair. Yeah, Jim. So I can tell my children when they lie, they owe me $787 million. You guys anybody that watches Fox News needs to stop watching. They shouldn't even be able to say the word news. It should just be Fox.
Here's the thing, Joe. Yes, Joe. How are they allowed to say this is Fox's continued commitment to the highest journalistic standards?
I'm just blown away. I'm blown away at how they're getting away with it. I just don't get it. John says only about 30% of voters even believe Fox News. Even fewer let them sway how they vote. Where are you getting that statistic, John? Because Fox News is the #1 news channel in the United States.
Opinion channel, you mean?
Opinion channel, yeah. So if they're #1 and Tucker Carlson is, I think, leading the way or whatever, along with Sean Hannity and all those, where are you getting this 30% statistic? I hope you're right. I'm not trying to say I hope people have woken up, whatever, to the lie, but I don't think so. I really don't. The vast majority of those who watch Fox News will still vote like they do if Tucker admitted he lies to them every night, because he already did. And they're morons. I mean, you can't get through to people that want to believe the BS.
That's
they know it's BS and still do it. Maybe they just hide behind it, be like, well, Tucker told me, I want it to be true.
But if they had to come on to Fox News, you know, if as you say, if Tucker Carlson had to come on and had to look in the camera and say, I have lied to you. Let me play it. Here's the sound of me, of us talking. We knew it was wrong and we told you anyway. And we did it because we wanted a certain outcome in the election. We lied to you. I'm sorry that we did it. We lied. What would the reaction of those viewers be? Would they be like, don't worry, Tucker, we knew what you were doing. We knew it was all a means to an end. No worries, let's move on. Do you think that's what they would say? Or would they be mad that they were lied to?
I bet, you know what I bet? I bet the whether it's 30% or whatever,
Right.
the hardcore people, you know what I think they'd say? They say, oh, he has to say that. It's not true. It's they're pulling the strings behind the scenes. He has to say that, even though he knows and I know that it's still true. My ass. The people that are so far gone down the MAGA election fraud rabbit hole, forget them. Forget them.
So that Dominion voting, they had the money to take on a corporation like Fox News. Wouldn't it be nice for a group of Fox News viewers who now understand the truth and feel slighted to take Fox News to court and sue them for lies? I mean, because they clearly didn't have to really, there was really no consequence here. There was no real big oomph at the end of this. So why not have people of means that now feel duped and slighted sue in civil court and say, you know, you
I don't know if you can
masquerade yourself as a news organization and you knowingly lied. And by the way, here's the proof.
Right. But again, because of the settlement, would they even have a case? Because again, I mean, they did say there, we knew some things were false. Are we going to know what they are admitting were false? Are they going to actually lay it out for us? Because they can part and parcel all of this statement, this BS statement that they gave. And again, they're not going to do the right thing here. We know that. We know Fox isn't going to go wall to wall. I mean, like Kim showed, even their website isn't even covering this. No. It should have been part of the settlement.
Yeah.
Joe says, oh, well, at least this will help us prepare for when Trump gets away with everything.
No.
I mean, I don't have a lot of faith. This would seem to be a really clear case, and they're still not facing any consequence for it, right? Lori says, still, when you look at the total population, it's not that many. Remember, we're in the bubble of hyper awareness. People here and those who watch Fox are hyper vigilant about politics. True. And we do have to mind our bias, our attention, what kind of news we follow. Because believe me, it can be all encompassing. Or like, you would think that the whole world is going to hell in a handbasket. And then, as my old friend Chip Franklin used to say, you open the door and it's just birds, singing and children playing. And you're like, what's going on? It's two totally different realities, but you have to pay attention because people are being influenced this way. And it's hard, it's really, really hard to know that they got away with it. They got away with it. Randy says, I think the indictments against Trump are orchestrated by the Democratic Party to drive up Trump's support in the Republican Party so that he gets the nomination. And then Randy says, because the Dems know Trump cannot win the general for president in 2024. Never say never. Two, I don't think that Trump is going to run.
But
I hope he's in jail.
People that would vote for him don't care if he's a crook and a criminal.
Obviously not.
I mean, that we knew that during the first time he was not elected, right? We knew there were stories about how he would hire businesses, they would do the work, and then he'd say, yeah, I don't think I'm going to pay you for that, or I'll pay you half of that. That wasn't worth all that much. We knew he was a crook. We knew he was a bad guy. Grab him by the pee. We knew that before the election. So I don't know, Randy. I think he actually did some stuff wrong. I mean, you could argue that it was, it's being promoted by Democrats. I don't know. But I think you can't charge someone with something being a DA unless there's some real proof and evidence behind it. And again, I think that whether he runs or not, and whether he's going through court cases and not the people that support him will still support him.
John says, don't confuse opinion on Fox with the news they report. Ha! People can't tell the difference, John. That's my point.
Yeah.
But then Lori answers this whole question of, people, the public being able to sue. She says, viewers can't sue because there's no quantifiable damages. Dominion lost business, so they have a claim on real damages. I would honestly wonder if the people injured during the attack on the Capitol, if they could sue Fox News for promoting an election fraud lie that led to people storming that Capitol.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
On at least a civil basis.
Yep.
Right? Because what was said? This election was stolen.
Yep.
This was based on the lie that
Right.
Fox News and other organizations perpetrated. Perpetuated. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah. So maybe that. I don't know. Do I have any lawyers in the house? Because they were physically harmed because of this election lie that was promoted on one of the number one news NOOZ channels in America. I don't know, I'm more mad at Dominion. And I know that it's a complicated thing and they probably have great lawyers and blah, 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 but you just wanted to see it. You wanted people that harm this country, that lie to the American people, to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be. It pisses me off. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, I mean, look at the story that they're leading with on Fox News. Oh, that there was some person that was part of the Biden, the cabinet secretary. Blah, blah, blah. You care about this? Oh, you care about elections now. You care about integrity now. Is that? Give me a friggin' break over here. So I'm really just disappointed that this is 2023. We haven't learned. It's awful. John says, I think that some of the cops that were hurt should sue them. Yeah. People that were hurt. I'll even say this. Ashley Babbitt's family should sue. You brainwashed, not they would, but you brainwashed our daughter so badly that she broke through that window and was shot by police.
Gave her false information.
Apparently
Dominion still has some cases pending against election deniers like Rudy Giuliani and Sidney Powell.
Good.
They are still suing Newsmax and OAN as well. They've got Trump allies Giuliani, Powell, Mike Lindell. All of these parties, according to CNN, deny wrongdoing. They are fighting these lawsuits, but we still may see Dominion in court, even though today was settled with against Fox.
This was the big case.
Yeah.
Maybe smaller ones, maybe kind of chipping away. Can you imagine if Rudy Giuliani ended up with his ass in prison or something? I don't know. I mean, he has taken such a fall from grace from 9/11 to now. It's mind-boggling. Sidney Powell was always a nutcase. I don't know why the hell they put her on Fox News so much. Oh, it's because she was promoting BS. I wonder. I really, really do wonder what other fallout there could be. But yeah, it's disappointing. But again, if you're just joining us, Dominion settled the lawsuit.
So CNN interviewed the former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. Her name is Ellie Honig.
Okay.
And she said that this case translated means Fox got caught lying by the judge. She said, I think that's exactly what we're seeing, this absolutely jaw-dropping number. She was interviewed by Jake Tapper. She said, the amount is half of what Dominion was asking for, but still astonishing. The quote is, I didn't think there was any way they'd get 1.6 billion, even when they proved their case. Even if they proved it overwhelmingly to a jury, let's remember by its own estimation, Dominion valued the entire company at somewhere between 30 and 80 million. This settlement is 10 times the value of Dominion as an entire company, and that's how strong a statement it is with this number.
Not enough. Not enough. You know what? It wasn't even about the money. I don't give a crap. We're talking about Rupert Murdoch here. You think I give two craps about the money? No, I want them to admit it over and over again. Not in one statement, not in a little page 6 blurb.
Yeah.
Every show, Tucker, Hannity, Ingram, all of them. Wall to frickin' wall. We lied. We were full of crap. We used you. We led you down the BS road over and over and over till I'm nauseated by the whole damn thing. And it's going to take a lot for me to get tired of Tucker Carlson admitting he's a jackass liar. That's what I want. That's true justice right there.
Well, Fox knew that they didn't really have a lot of places to turn with their defense on this one. Apparently, the judge had rejected several First Amendment defenses that Fox had tried to bring up in court. Judge kept saying, nope, not going to work.
Yeah.
Nope, not going to work. And so, I mean, in the end, I guess $787 million is better than $1.6 billion.
Yeah. Randy says, I wonder if Trump will fundraise based on this. Trump will fundraise over, his child's death. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand why people donate to somebody that's supposed to be buku rich, right? I don't understand why he gets $1 of people's hard-earned money. He has got people such wool over, and it looks like he might get the nomination. DeSantis and all of his babbling isn't landing apparently with a lot of Republican voters. They still really like Trump, which is just nuts. But since we're talking about this real quickly, Ron DeSantis yesterday goes out in front of cameras and says that he is going to nullify the company's effort to circumvent state oversight of Walt Disney World.
Disney, yeah.
Yeah, Disney. This is Florida, of course. He keeps calling them too woke. He said the legislature would revoke a development agreement Disney struck with the ongoing members of the oversight board. He also says that he may try to build a state prison and a competing theme park next to Walt Disney World. Who the hell wants to go to a Ron DeSantis theme park?
Nobody. That's why it's funny. Good luck for you.
He says, I'm going to give the board power to decide how to develop land adjacent to Disney theme parks. The possibilities include a state park, amusement parks, or a state prison. I mean, when these things come out of his mouth, I really am curious of how they land with Floridians. Like, oh my God, shut up. Like, you're not doing us any favor.
Yeah.
I mean, again, CEO Bob Iger of Disney says it's anti-business, anti-Florida. This whole oversight board is just a way for DeSantis to control this district, this Disney district that's been around forever. I feel like he's playing the long game. Like, I'm going to do this to keep me in the headlines. And by the time, if this all does happen, the repercussions, I'll either be in the White House or whatever. But it's crazy.
Are we allowed to play CNN without getting dinged?
Because maybe. Well, go ahead.
They had this. Go ahead, do it. They had this panel yesterday talking about DeSantis floating the ideas of building a competing theme park next to Disney, and they were actually laughing.
Oh, really? Let me see.
They were cracking up. I do. You want to see it?
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll get dinged for playing it, but they were just.
If we are, I'll remove it. It's fine.
I mean, their reaction was really pretty funny.
I mean, I when I heard it, I was laughing.
Just showing that Michael Jackson movie, I ain't been there in quite a long time. Like, the whole idea, like, here's how we're going to be Disney. We're going to put a roller coaster over there, and everybody's going to come to our roller coaster because Mickey Mouse is too woke. Who is beating Mickey Mouse?
And I want to set up a camera of the faces of the kids realizing they're going to the other theme park.
That's a good point.
You showed up and you went to DeSantis land after they told you that you were going to go to Orlando. You didn't even ask. You're like, maybe it's Universal. Maybe it's this. I'm not sure which one.
That makes it literally hurting from laughing so hard.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. To have Alyssa Farah, who was one of the press secretaries of former President Trump there laughing as well, is quite telling. Yeah, nobody wants to go to DeSantis land. Oh my God. It would suck so bad. Because Because what is it going to be? People just, they don't, if DeSantis doesn't want politics, and political issues to infiltrate something like Disneyland, he's doing the same thing. What's it going to look like? Are you going to let transgender people in? Are you going to let anyone from the LGBTQ in? Are you going to let black and brown people in?
There's no Pride Day at DeSantis land.
I mean, it's by saying it's going to be anti-woke, he's being a moron. There is no such thing as being woke and even anti-woke. You're just being mindful that this is a country that's made up of all different types of people. And as a representative of a major state like Florida, he should know better. But of course he doesn't. Of course he doesn't.
So I'm still looking at Fox News website, and I'm waiting for them to even say something, anything
No, why would
about
they say anything?
because I was thinking it was going to be part of the settlement. Like they have to make a statement. They have to put the
They
statement on
did
the
make a statement
website.
at a press conference. That's
And
it.
still, so not only do we have this on the top, I know we're wrapping up the show, but not only do we have this is their top story, the Biden cabinet secretary doing the public a disservice, which is laughable.
Right.
Then we have radical minority, teen overdose, road rage. Interesting. Road
Yeah,
rage.
I'm on their website and I'm just
We
trying
don't
to
have
Google
anything
it.
about racial
Nothing.
shootings, right? Mob mentality, armed protests. We have all these stories. We got the weather. We got the post office fired me for honoring the Lord's Day. We've got all these stories. We have nothing about the settlement. Nothing about it.
Nope.
Isn't that interesting? Not even at the bottom.
I'm so not surprised. I'm not surprised, but that should, like you said, it should have been part of the settlement.
Right? It should be you have to have it at least, if not the lead story, in the top fold, right?
Yeah.
So when you log on, you see it. Got to be up at the top.
And that's the thing. I wish Dominion would have pushed harder. Who knows? I mean, of course, Tucker's not on yet. I don't know. Maria Bartom. How do you say her name? Bartiromo?
I think it's Bartolomeo.
Is there an L in it?
I thought it was Bartolomeo. Am I getting it wrong?
I don't think there's an L in her name. I can never say her name, and it's not hard once I see it, but I can never off the top of my head say her stupid name. What is it?
Oh, Bartiromo.
Bartiromo. Yeah, that thought. I was like, I didn't think there was an L in it. Bartolamass. How about that? She's like Bartoliar. They used to always have liar as a middle name. I mean,
Bart a loser.
But they didn't lose.
That's why I was trying to put an L in it. Got it.
They didn't lose at all. So again, we're gonna continue. The fallout of this could be long, but I don't have much hope for that. I really, really don't. It's just not going to happen. All right, let's start wrapping up the show. Thank you to Kim for filling in. Tomorrow I am off. I'm working again. I will be talking, just to let you guys know, and thank you to everybody that was reaching out. I will be talking about my second job so I can continue doing this job. Does that make sense? So anybody that wants to figure out, just watch the past show on Friday, but not mentioning it, but very happy to have both that and being able to do this. Okay, so does that make sense? Good. So yeah, again, we didn't get to it. Maybe when I come back, I'll be back on Thursday. I do want to talk about whether or not you would I want to ask Kim this, so I definitely want us to be together. Would you let your kid miss school for something they really want to do that's not educational? Not educational at all.
I just did it.
That was with your band. I would say that that's educational.
It was not educational. And this kid was from morning till night Disneylanding.
Okay. Well,
and
talk about that.
She skipped school today because she was exhausted from the trip.
So tired. Okay, so I want to get into that more because, again, like we were talking with the Oakland teachers and their funding, there is a hit that your school takes when your child's butt is not in that seat. So what should the response be from schools? We'll talk about that. Also, I want to talk about whether or not you could work with your spouse on a day-to-day basis. If any of you, my viewers, do it, right now, email me, thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com, because I want to know. Maybe I'll bring you on if you want to come on the show to share the story. Do you work with your spouse? How do you make that work and then not want to kill them when you're not at work anymore? Please click the thumbs up button before the show ends. It's right there at the bottom. Just click it once. We love it. Please consider being a Medorable. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is where you find our Patreon link.
Oh.
You can donate any amount you want to.
We have to thank the people.
Oh, yes, we do have to thank people. Wes is the one that started us off with that AI. We talked
Yeah.
about that earlier. Thank you, Wes, for the $10
Yeah, thank
donation.
you.
Oops, sorry. Justin came in with $20. Great to hear you this
So
afternoon.
nice.
The tax refund giving us a little bit of love. Thank you
That's
so
really
much.
kind.
Thank you so much. Lady
Yeah.
Beatrice with a couple of donations. $5 asking about my new job. It went fabulously. Thank you. Also with another $5 donation talking about Oscar Grant all over again. Yes. CR, love ya. $10 donation. AI is woke, and Ron DeSantis will be banning it in 3, 2, 1. Another Lady Beatrice just became a Medorable.
Yay.
I'm so excited because this and Mark's show is quality gold standard. Love it. Wes with another donation of $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. Lady Beatrice, you're being so generous. I appreciate you. $10 donation. Talking about that 84-year-old racist who shot that poor kid that just knocked on his door. And Ms. Organic. Thank you so much for the $20 donation. I really appreciate you all. This is why we do it, people. This is the only way we can keep the lights on. So again, TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. Become a Medorable. Absolutely love you all. And again, I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.